My fiancé told me his parents wouldn't even come to our wedding, but last night I found out he was lying. He'd been hiding something, and the truth was about to crush me. Before I continue, make sure you subscribe and share this story because trust me, you won't want to miss how it ends. When David and I got engaged, I thought I'd finally found my happily ever after. But every time I asked about meeting his parents, he dodged the question. At first, he said they lived too far away. Then he claimed they were too sick to travel. Finally, he told me they wouldn't be at the wedding anyway, so there was no point in introducing me. That cut me deep. Who doesn't want their in-laws at their wedding? Still, something felt wrong. Whenever I mentioned his family, his face would tighten, like he was hiding a secret. Then one night, while he was in the shower, his phone lit up with a message that made my heart race. Can't wait to see you both at the wedding. Mom already bought her dress. My hands went cold. His parents weren't absent. They were very much in the picture. And if they were coming, why had he been lying to me all this time? That's when I decided I wasn't going to wait for his answers. I was going to find them myself. But the first step I took led me straight into something far darker than I imagined. I couldn't sleep that night. My mind kept replaying that message. His mom already bought her dress. If they were excited for the wedding, then why had David sworn they weren't coming? The next morning, while David left for work, I made a decision that even shocked me. I was going to meet his parents myself. I tracked down their address from an old envelope tucked away in his desk drawer. My heart was pounding as I drove through a quiet suburban neighborhood, my palms sweating against the steering wheel. When I finally pulled up to a tall brick house with a manicured lawn, I froze. Should I really knock? What if I was wrong? What if there was some innocent explanation? But curiosity pushed harder than fear. I walked up the steps and rang the doorbell. The door creaked open, and a warm, elegant woman with striking blue eyes stared at me. "You must be Sarah," she said with a smile that immediately sent chills down my spine. She knew me. She knew my name. Before I could even process, a man, his father, walked up behind her. He didn't smile. Instead, he scanned me from head to toe and said coldly, "So you're the girl David chose?" My stomach flipped. The warmth in the mother's eyes disappeared in an instant, replaced by judgment. "Sweetheart," she said with a thin smile, "I'm afraid this wedding isn't going to work the way you think it will." I blinked, trying to find words. "What do you mean?" The father leaned in, his voice sharp. "David has a future, one we've already planned. And you, Sarah, are not part of it." It felt like the ground disappeared beneath my feet. My fiancé had lied, but why? What were his parents hiding? And more importantly, was David in on it too? That's when the mother pulled out something from the drawer near the entryway. An invitation. But it wasn't for our wedding. It was for a wedding, with David's name on it, and the bride's name wasn't mine. My breath caught in my throat. I stared at the invitation, my name nowhere on it. Instead, written in golden letters was, David Anderson and Emily Carter. My heart slammed against my ribs. Emily? Who was she? I snatched the card from the mother's hand, my voice trembling. This must be a mistake. David is engaged to me. His father let out a mocking laugh. Engaged? Don't flatter yourself. David has always been meant for Emily. Her family's wealth, their connections. It's everything we need for him. You were just a placeholder. The words cut deeper than knives. My hands shook as I held the invitation. All this time I thought David loved me, that we were building a future together. But his family already had another bride picked out for him. Does David even know you're showing me this? I demanded, fighting to keep my voice steady. His mother smirked. Oh, sweetheart, David knows. Why do you think he never wanted you to meet us? He couldn't risk you finding out too soon. I felt my knees weaken, but anger shot through me, giving me strength. I tossed the invitation onto their polished table. You think you can control his life. You think I'll just disappear quietly. But you're wrong. Just then, I heard the sound of footsteps behind me. I turned, and there was David standing at the doorway, his face pale, eyes wide. He hadn't expected me to be there. Sarah, he whispered, his voice cracking. My chest tightened. Tell me it's not true, David. Tell me this isn't who you really are." He opened his mouth to speak, but his father cut him off sharply. "Enough lies. It's time she knows everything." David's silence said more than words ever could. The man I loved wasn't the man I thought he was. And now, standing in his parents' home, I realized I wasn't just fighting for the truth. I was about to fight for my dignity, for justice, and maybe even revenge. But before I could speak, David's mother leaned in close and whispered in my ear, "Walk away now, Sarah, or you'll regret staying in this family forever." My chest was burning, every nerve in my body screaming to explode. David just stood there, frozen, while his parents dictated my life as if I was some cheap distraction he picked up along the way. I clenched my fists, but instead of breaking down, I straightened my back. If they thought I would leave humiliated, they were wrong. I looked David dead in the eye. "So all those nights you held my hand and promised me forever, were those just rehearsals for Emily?" My voice cracked, but the rage underneath made every word sting. He reached for me, desperate. "Sarah, please, it's not like that." His mother cut in, her tone sharp as glass. "Don't embarrass yourself, Sarah. You were never meant to last. You're from a modest background. You have no family money, no influence. What did you think? That David would actually choose love over legacy?" Her words echoed in the air like poison. I wanted to scream, but instead I let silence choke the room. Then, slowly, I smiled. A smile that made his mother's expression falter. "You think I'm just some nobody," I said softly, "but you really don't know me at all." David's father scoffed. "What could you possibly have that would compare to Emily Carter's family empire?" I leaned forward, lowering my voice so every word hit like a hammer. "Maybe the fact that I built something of my own. Something bigger than your precious Carters. And maybe your son isn't the only one with secrets." Their smirks faded. David looked panicked now, his face turning pale. "Sarah, what are you saying?" I slipped my phone out of my bag and pulled up the email I'd been keeping hidden. The one that confirmed the final stage of my business acquisition had gone through just days ago. What started as a small project while working 2 jobs had grown into something massive, an app that had just been bought out by a tech giant for millions. I turned the screen toward them, my voice calm but deadly. "This is what I'm saying. I'm worth more than every deal Emily's family could ever buy. And tomorrow, the world is going to know it." For the first time, David's mother lost her composure. She reached out, as if to snatch the phone from me, but I pulled it back. I looked at David, my eyes burning with betrayal. "You wanted to hide me because you were ashamed of who I was. But now, you'll wish you never underestimated me." And with that, I walked out of their house, slamming the door behind me. My heart was racing, but it wasn't fear anymore. It was power. Because if they thought they had humiliated me, they had no idea what was coming next. The night before the wedding, I barely slept. Rage and adrenaline ran through my veins like fire. They thought I was weak, disposable, just some poor girl clinging to their perfect son. But tomorrow, I wasn't going to walk into that wedding as a broken fiancé. I was going to walk in as the storm that would shatter their carefully built lie. The ballroom was dripping in luxury. Crystal chandeliers, white roses, and a string quartet playing softly in the corner. Guests in designer suits and gowns filled the space, waiting for the grand entrance of David and Emily. I stood at the back, unnoticed, my heart pounding with every step I took closer to the aisle. Then, the music changed. Everyone stood as David walked in, Emily's hand looped through his arm. She looked radiant in lace and diamonds, while he looked uneasy, his smile stiff, eyes darting nervously toward the crowd. He hadn't expected me to show up, but that was about to be the least of his worries. Just as the officiant began to speak, I strode forward, heels clicking against the marble floor. Gasps filled the room. Emily froze. David's face turned ghostly white, and his parents looked like they'd seen a ghost. "Stop the ceremony," I said, my voice echoing through the hall. "Because there's something everyone here deserves to know." The whispers grew louder, the crowd shifting uneasily. I pulled out my phone and tapped the screen. On the massive projector behind the altar, I cast my email, confirmation of my multi-million-dollar deal, my company's valuation, and the headlines already circulating about my success. The words were clear, bold, undeniable. Sarah Mitchell, sells startup for $42 million. The room went dead silent. Every eye snapped back to me. I walked closer, my voice sharp. David told me his parents wouldn't be at our wedding. He said they didn't approve. But what he didn't say was that they had already planned this, an arranged marriage to Emily, for her family's wealth and power. And the entire time he thought I was the poor choice. The weak one. Emily ripped her arm out of David's grasp, her face twisted in disgust. "You lied to me too?" she hissed. His mother rushed forward, her voice trembling. "Sarah, don't do this." "Oh no," I cut her off. "You don't get to silence me anymore. You mocked me. You told me I'd regret staying in this family. But look around, you're the ones exposed. You're the ones humiliated." Gasps and murmurs swept through the guests. Cameras flashed. People were already recording. David stumbled forward, desperation dripping from his voice. "Sarah, wait, we can fix this." I turned to him, my eyes burning with the betrayal of every lie he had ever told me. "You don't get to fix anything. You chose their lies over my love. You chose status over truth, and now you've lost the only thing that was ever real in your life." Emily's parents were already storming out, furious. The guests whispered louder, phones buzzing as news spread like wildfire. David's mother's face crumpled with shame, and his father could do nothing but stare, defeated. I walked toward the exit, my head high, the whispers of admiration from strangers following me. "That's her? The one who sold the company? She's incredible. She just destroyed them." Outside, I finally let the cold evening air fill my lungs. I wasn't broken anymore. I wasn't the girl begging to be accepted by a family built on lies. I was the woman who stood up, revealed the truth, and walked away with everything that mattered: my dignity, my power, and my future. David had tried to erase me. His family had tried to belittle me. But in the end, I left them with nothing but shame. And as the cameras kept flashing behind me, one thought settled deep in my chest. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying them. It's about rising so high they can never touch you again.